Towards the second half comeback of all time. Australia ahead by 24 points to nil. They restart. Johns is still out there. He takes the kick-off and it goes straight into the arms of Sculthorpe. He tips it inside for Paul Anderson, and I just wonder what David Waite would have said in that dressing room at half-time.
Well, he needs a bit more fire in the belly. I'm sure he would have said that to his charges, because it's been disappointing. They've got to get out of the blocks a lot quicker, like they did in that first test. They've really got to apply the pressure, which they failed to do. And they've got now to make sure that Australia realise that, OK, looks like we're going towards the third test, but we can only improve. We have to. We played awful in that first half, and the players out there, they know it too.
Well, we shall be checking on what was said in the two dressing rooms in a moment with Bill Arthur, as Australia have the first use of the football from their point of view in this second half now, and it's with Fittler, and a good job that Kevin Sinfield held on to his green and gold jersey. Here now is Andrew Johns, rib cartilage problem for him, but he's got the ball wide to an Astor, and Connolly knocked that ball out of his hand.
The head and feed, the green and gold. Deliberate knock, as you can see there. One-on-one, it's all right.
Yeah.
It went in a touch. Amazing. Never scored a try for Great Britain. What a time for him to come up with his first try. We really do need something.
Short odds earlier on today for him to score in this test match. But at the moment it's Australia who are taking it to them again, and it's Matthew Gidley. It has been Australia from the very first whistle, and here now is Adam McDougall. And Great Britain again hanging back in defence almost fatally. Australia within 3.5 metres of that British line. Danny Buderus, Trent Barrett. Here now is the big fella, Jason Riles. No progress made metre-wise as far as Australia concerned. Little drop of the shoulder again from Johns. He's over. Oh, what a start! What a start for Australia. And even after just 2 minutes of this second half, I'm afraid that just about wraps this test match up.
Well, he picked up a bad injury just before the half-time break, and Johns has scored the try that has made no doubt about it that we're going to go to the deciding test at Wigan next Saturday. And it was Johns who ripped it apart in the first half, and he's done it yet again. He ghosted through, steps off the left foot. Well, Andrew Johns and Brad Fittler have absolutely run the show here tonight. The combination between Fittler and this fella has been outstanding. It wouldn't surprise me if this guy comes off now, Eddie. There is a problem with his shoulder.
Well, doesn't look like it the way he's kicking, and he's got rib cartilage problems as well. But 30 points to nil. Do not adjust your set. It is a horror story, I'm afraid. And let's get the half-time news. Might be too late from a British point of view, Bill.
Well, certainly some very stern faces on the British bench, but David Waite has sent his team out with the instructions just to try and do the little things better in this second half, to at least give themselves a platform to mount some sort of comeback in this game, although it does seem a very distant prospect now, because after that Andrew Johns try, and that is remarkable because Johns ended that first half in a lot of pain. Apparently he's had a rib cartilage problem for some time. He suffered a knock to the area late on in the first half. He's back out there, he scored a try. He is a tough cookie, and the word from the Australian camp is, it stays the same. Those are the words that Trent Barrett used as he came out of the dressing room. Nothing changes, guys. Doesn't look as though it's going to.
No, 30 points to nil, and it's heartbreaking really from a British point of view, because there's been so much talk this week. There's a mistake from Andrew Johns, just Australia trying to force the pass, but so much talk this week, Steve-O, about the first test victory. People were so ebullient because of it. It was going to be the night of all nights, this, and it's come crashing down around their ears.
Well, it certainly has. Look, we know that the Australians, they're skillful, they're very, very fit indeed. They were a bit underdone in that first test. We knew they'd come back. But the big problem that we're finding now is that where is the fire that was in the belly last week? It just seems to have just gone away.
Yes, it was a huge effort from Great Britain
You know, every
last
tackle,
Sunday.
every teammate came in good on you. They were talking to the Aussies, they were putting them off the game. We've seen none of that.
Maybe they believed that it would go to a third test. Anyway, 30 points to 0. Britain on the attack here with Richard Hall. A little hole for Horn. He flicks it back well to Anderson. Flick pass on the bounce. Collected, and again, and this has been a feature of this match. Great Britain, they've tried things and it just hasn't come off, and it's all looked terribly desperate.
Panic, that's a word for it. The opportunity we had back to 6 there, definitely touched by Matthew Gidley. And every time we get into a position where perhaps we can launch an attack and get points on the board, well, we just panic, we lose the plot completely. And remember, this Great Britain squad, they've been together for quite some time now, but they look as though they haven't played together, don't they?
That's a big hit.
That's better.
Trent Barrett felt that. Andrew Farrell stopped him dead in his tracks. But the tragedy from the British point of view is that they've gone from, well, champagne football 6 days ago to penny lollies tonight. Referees held the clock up. I think Jamie Peacock has got a problem in the blood bin. He's got some blood around the mouth, as Peacock. I'm all right, he says, as the physio comes out.
Well, we saw a
magnificent
big hit there by Andy Farrell. And the problem is it happened in the 46th minute, not in the first. We really did take it to them in that first test at the McAlpine, and we are just a shadow of that particular side.
Yes, I wonder where it's gone. And we talk about what a difference 6 days makes to the Aussies. What a difference 6 days has made to Great Britain. They don't look the same team, and yet they are in personnel. They are exactly the same team, the exact same side, in exact same positions.
That could have been a flop. Jamie Lyon was very late under that. Tackle looked to have been completed.
By the way, I'm sure our friends at Channel 9 in Australia have been enjoying the last 46.5 minutes, a little more than they did last weekend.
Well, to be fair, Australia have played some outstanding rugby league football.
That's a good run. Much better run from Fielden, but when he gets into open space, there's nobody there coming in the second phase.
Bit of an elbow.
And he's got the penalty.
Who was hanging on was Ben Kennedy, and he got a good old elbow in the mush for his pains. Look at this, get out of it. Already being given the penalty by Bill Harrigan, but it was a pretty dangerous play there.
Well, 30-0, there's no point Great Britain taking the two on offer. It's 3-0, the penalties, incredibly, from the whistle of Bill Harrigan.
Well, this is a time when we've got to start making Australia hurt a little bit, so that at least they'll go to that third test at Wigan knowing that Great Britain won't play as bad, and which they can't, surely, and we can play a bit tougher, and that's what we've got to prove now. Got to stand up and be counted a little bit.
Terry O'Connor had the scoot from dummy half then. This now is Sinfield's turn. He gives it width to Farrell. Here's Paul Sculthorpe. He did the hour last week, as was Peacock. He's put the ball down, and the referee will put the scrum down for the knock-on.
Well, they were trying to utilise the man running out wide and then bring him short, which was Peacock. The offload was okay from Paul Sculthorpe there. Trying to confuse the defence, utilising Rudlinski out wide, but I must say this Australian defence has been well marshalled. Everything that Great Britain has thrown at them. Remember, only one missed tackle in that first half. Been outstanding.
Oh, and a run here from Jamie Lyon straight over the top of the British defender, Chris Radlinski it was. Just drove him into the ground, and here now comes Kennedy. Sculthorpe and Joint. That was the 15th missed tackle by Great Britain, just 2, and it's all starting to get a little petulant. And Bill Harrigan keeps away from it all and says, look, let's get on with it. This is Riles. Vaderis is the dummy half for Australia. It comes infield to Brad Fittler. Fittler has 3 there, and he's pushed back.
I must say he's been a champion tonight, Brad Fittler, led by example.
Vaderis to Johns. Johns tried to get that ball away. That came off Farrell. It's going to be 6 to go, this. No, the referee says knock on. Where's he got that from?
Well, if this is a head and feed to Great Britain, I think they're pretty fortunate.
That'll be head and feed to Australia, will it, if, on the evidence of that picture?
You'd think so. Yep. It should be. But if that was the case, why wasn't he just play on then? Trent Barrett picked it up neatly.
Well, because Britain have got head and feed, that's why.
Well, I don't know how he's got that. Maybe a little luck, just shining Great Britain's way. They certainly need it. But they just need a clean break, an opportunity, a try, well, hopefully, to lift their spirits.
Yes, they need at least a try to take with them to Wigan next week. I'm sure that David Waite, Brian Noble, Graham Steadman, Phil Clark, the manager, already their thoughts will be on the JJB Stadium. It will now at 30 points to nil.
Well, if they can win the second half, it was all over after the first 40 minutes as far as I was concerned.
Lovely little break from Horn.
Well, he's at least tried to do something a little bit different. He's taking on the defence.
It all comes down to this. Third test next Saturday at Wigan. 6:30 Sky Sports 1 again. And the ball has bounced, but a penalty because the British boy took out Darren Lockyer in the air. Now, it's not allowed when the ball is airborne in defence, but in this test series, let me tell you, see, that is not allowed. Although, to be fair to Fielden, he went for the ball.
Well, he was certainly looking at the football, and I would have deemed the same way. Not seen by the official, Bill Harrigan.
But that's not allowed when an attacker tries to stop a defender defusing the bomb. But up the other end, interestingly, in this test match, and we should have made the point last week, it will be allowed. A defender can defend his own line, is the way that they're going to play this.
And to be fair, I think that's a good rule.
Just like Robbie Paul did against Keith Senior on this ground in 1998, you may remember. Here's Johns, wide, they're loaded out wide, McDougall is in.
Well, a shade forward in the end, I felt, but let's not take away the fact that McDougall had enough strength. It was a bit dodgy, that pass, never mind. But we should have really, we had numbers out there on the left-hand side, and there should have been enough to deal with Adam McDougall. He knows a way to the line, but look at the space that would allow him, Johns, to take control there. Not the best attempt by Paul Johnson. Look at the space that we allow him. Matthew Gidley, one of the best offloaders under pressure that I've seen for quite some time. He served up yet another try-scoring pass for this fella, Adam McDougall. It's a rout, I'm afraid, and he knows it. He was pretty confident. He said that the fact that referee Bill Harrigan was in charge would make sure that Great Britain would be taking back the 10. It would give them far more room to move, and he has been proved right.
And guess who the Australians might be voting for in the discussion that is due this week as to who controls the third test at Wigan next Saturday night. I think they will be having a big hands up for that fellow, Bill Harrigan. 34-0, this kick from Andrew Johns. He's missed it. Well, an ironic cheer from the crowd, and Johns himself looks a little bit annoyed that he missed it. 34 points to nil, and I hate to say it, but I've turned over the page on the records to the highest scores, and 50 points to 12 at Swinton in 1963 is the highest score the Australians have scored in an Ashes series against Great Britain. And at the moment it's 34-0.
Well, he came out in the press, didn't he, Bill Harrigan? He said that on a few occasions in the first test, Great Britain were in front of the kicker, and he's got them this time. He said he would.
And he has, and what's more, Lockyer's booming kick.
Well, I think that's been a little bit pedantic.
Well, I was going to say,
someone about 50 metres away on the opposite side of where the football's gone, and Mr. Harrigan has penalised him. Well, he said he'd do it, and he's done it.
Guess who Great Britain won't be voting for in the discussions this week? This is Barrett. Had a nightmare last week, Trent Barrett, but so did all the Australians, and they have covered themselves in glory here tonight. No more so than Fittler. Kennedy gets away from Fielden. Kennedy! Oh, dearie, dearie me. was cheering these British players to the rafters last week, and now I'm afraid well and truly on their backs and booing them, and it's the Aussie flags that are flying highest at the Reebok Stadium. And Great Britain not impressed. They've had a bit of a debate with Bill Harrigan. Remember, it all came about because of that penalty on halfway. It was pedantic, as Steve-O so rightly says.
Especially when he was 40, 50 metres away, he was not infringing on it.
And 34-0, Steve-O, to be fair, you know.
Yeah, but this is poor defence, Eddie.
Well, it is, it's awful.
You know, big fella Kennedy, they know his ability. A fantastic grand final. And back on the inside, and he scored quite easily. It was not the best defence. You've got to go down low, you've got to get his legs. They failed to do that, and they are looking down the barrel of a real good hiding. Andy Farrell is screaming at his charges, trying to lift them, but it's not going to be easy, because I know one thing. Chris Anderson will have sent out the message, enjoy yourself, boys, enjoy it big time, and they will.
And they are, to some tune, 40 points to 0, Australia. And Paul Wellens comes on for his first taste of Ashes football. Wellens is the man who comes on, and Chris Radlinski is the man who's gone off. Well, one feels a little deflated, to say the least.
Oh, that is wonderful rugby league football. If you give them space, it's little wonder that they are the world champions and they are producing some outstanding rugby league football. Then you've got to give full credit to Chris Anderson. He didn't moan, didn't complain about refereeing decisions. He just said that Great Britain were better on the night, we would come back. But the way that he has changed the tactics, the way that they've got the ball away from the dummy half, again, we haven't seen much running from Badiris from the scrum half, and why not? Because Andrew Johns, Brad Fittler, and now late in this game, Trent Barrett is showing his skills. That combination has just completely ripped Great Britain apart.
And Kevin Sinfield took a bang on their head in that last tackle that he made. He's gone off. Well, Great Britain now must be looking to the third test, and I know there's bags of time left in this one, and the Australians also ringing the changes. But Steve-O, where can David Waite ring the changes? I know he's brought in the likes of Darren Fleary into the squad. He has been added into the cover.
Well, he has got Paul King, who is a recognised hooker, and he's a tough cookie. Believe you me, we've got to change our tactics. We've got to make sure that we have, and we find that fire back in the belly.
And there's Michael Withers, of course.
Yeah.
Much debate about Withers and his eligibility for this test match, but he is, or this series rather, but he's in the squad. So there's Withers, there's Wellens, who is out there now operating at full-back. There's King, there's Fleary. Just trying to think if there's anybody else. Richard Horne, maybe. Lee Briers, of course.
Yep.
Lee Briers could just be the joker in the pack for next week. We shall see. David Waite has got a week to decide.
Well, it paid off, the fact that they didn't go in with a recognised scrum half last week and a recognised hooker.
But Steve-O, historically, 1990, 1994, Mal Reilly, then Ellery Hanley, now David Waite in 2001, they didn't change a winning side. I know you say if Newton had been fitted to play.
Yeah.
But they didn't change a winning side, and they've paid the price.
Yeah, it's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But the one thing that we have lacked, as I keep saying, is the power that we took control in the forwards. And the Australians have not wanted to mix it down the middle. That's where they got caught last week. And full credit to them, you've got to hand it. They know what it's all about. Get the ball out wide as quickly as possible. The service from Badiris has been good. And the half-back loose-forward combination, well, they've been superb behind a defensive side. I mean, this Australian defence tonight, outstanding.
Outstanding indeed. And we have news of Chris Radlinski. Let's hope this isn't bad, Bill.
Well, it's not getting any better for Great Britain. Radlinski on the sidelines at the moment with ice on a hamstring injury, which he sustained towards the end of the first half, but he's been taken off as a precaution, according to the Great Britain medical side, and they're hoping that a week's rest will be enough cure for him. I'm not so sure whether that'll be the case with Australia's Lottie Takiri, who came off with medial knee ligament trouble, and they are worried about him. He's got ice on his knee as well.
Radlinski with a battle on his hands if it's a pulled hamstring to be fit for that third test, and it doesn't get any better for Great Britain, does it? At nearly an hour, 40 points to nil. If it was a boxing match, I think the referee would have stopped it by now. But we wait for the siren in 20 minutes' time. Bobby Kearns felt that. Oh, and Anasta gets away almost from Richard Horne. Lockyer. Oh, they're cutting Britain open with ease. That's Vella. Badiris. Here is Barrett. Little dab over the top. And they're waiting for it. Barrett dabs the ball through. Kearns was after it. And it was hacked dead by Keith Senior. It's a dropout coming up here under the sticks, is it? Or has the referee given a penalty?
No, it'll be a dropout. Well, neat skills from Trent Barrett. As I mentioned earlier, a little bit underdone last week. Took him a while to get into the situation, but that was mainly due to the fact that Andrew Johns and Brad Fittler, they wanted to make sure they took control out there. And as this game has gone on, we've seen on the Australian League that we get up here on Sky TV that he's had a fine season, and he's a wonderful prospect, Trent Barrett, don't worry. He has outstanding skills, and I think we'll see quite a lot of him in the last quarter. He's enjoying it out there.
They all are in the green and gold. The rest of us, I think we must put the champagne on ice for at least another week, and let's hope not another 10,213 days. This is Barrett. The ball to Lockyer. Here is Carlaw. 4 tackles gone, 2 remaining. The Aussies are 10 metres away. Fittler.
Oh, good hit.
Good hit by McDermott. He lost it then, did Barrett?
Well, play on. Well, I know it was a mistake and it was a knock-on, but surely...
Great Britain will have the scrum.
Oh, we should have really picked up that ball and showed the enthusiasm. Big hit from the prop forward, he went back for it. And, I mean...
Fielding's patting Barry McDermott on the back for the tackle.
Well, I mean, the referee had not blown up yet. You play to the whistle. I mean, it was bouncing around there, and, well, they've been extremely lethargic. And that just highlighted it. If that had happened the other way around, the Aussie would have scooped on it straight away.
This is Farrell. Well, 40 points to nil. 62 minutes, nearly 63 minutes on the watch. We've got one of the best coaches in the business with us in Sean McRae. Sean, you're David Waite for the next 30 seconds. What do you do?
Well, I think you just got to keep persevering. It's interesting to note that when Terry O'Connor and Barry McDermott have come back on, we've seen a lot more aggression in the Great Britain defence, but it's a shame we didn't see that earlier in the game. That's when they really needed it. It's all a bit too late now. Been a very clinical performance from the Australian side.
Next week, what do you do?
Well, I think we've just got to wait to see how the injuries get up, and well, we'll see how the injuries are, and you know, have a look at the videotape and look at where they've gone wrong. But it's the old adage, Eddie, if you're backpedaling, it's very hard to defend a good side, and that's what's been happening tonight.
Well, a golden opportunity. Andy Farrell, a neat little chip over the top. Instead of opting to get onto the football, the best kick away. Good positional play, though, by Adam McDougall. You'd be hard-pressed to pick a poor player out there in green and gold.
Referee blows the whistle here, and confusion amongst both sides. Scrum, head and feed to Great Britain. Knock on, I think, the call.
I don't know where that's come from.
Maybe there, was it? Do you think Mr. Harrigan wants the third test? touch of confusion. Anyway, it's head and feed at the scrum to Great Britain, and you might have noticed that Paul Anderson has returned to the fray. A little bit of invention though from Andy Farrell, didn't quite come off, did it?
No.
A couple of minutes ago.
To be fair though, in these closing minutes, golden opportunity for Richard Horne now to just show his wares. He's shown some little touches. They really haven't had much constructive play out there from the Great Britain side.
They've been behind the 8 ball in terms of the forwards from the very first whistle, though, haven't they?
Yeah, but it hasn't been a forward game. That's the fascinating thing about it. Australia didn't want it. They have not played it. They play the ball quickly. They've been slick. They've been effective. And they've just had a solid defence, which normal Australian sides, that's what they do.
Here's Farrell. Good ball, but he was waiting for him, was Matthew Gidley.
Was he ever? Bang. That was a great tackle there by the centre. Sinfield felt it. And it's been all across the board as well. It hasn't just, it's been a good team effort by Australia. I mentioned earlier in that first half that, you know, the skills of Andrew Johns have been outstanding tonight, but he's gone through his hard work as well. He's a gutsy player. Super stuff.
Carlaw under pressure from Sculthorpe. The ball was propelled forward.
Oh, that was a high one as well from Sculthorpe. He would have felt that.
Britain have got the head and feet at another scrum here.
Well, they've certainly closed down Paul Sculthorpe.
Well, they said all week, stop Sculthorpe. That was battle plan number 1. Battle plan number 2, apparently, stop Farrell. Keep them quiet. They believed they had the key to victory.
Well, the other key, Eddie, is the fact stop them all. And that's what they've done.
Yes, no real heroes tonight.
They'll be bitterly disappointed. And they know they've been taken to cleaners by a wonderful outfit.
Farrell trying to lift the crowd and lift Great Britain's spirits for test number 3.
Wonderful effort too.
Oh, Terry O'Connor goes without the ball. Kennedy just drops on the rich pickings, then loses it, says it was stolen.
Got to be a penalty.
Knock on.
Kennedy, I think he's every right to be upset about it all. I suppose at 40-0 doesn't really count, but here's the mistake from O'Connor. And, well, it looked like the left arm of O'Connor was in there. Complete reversal, hasn't it? Britain missing tackles.
They're flat as flukes.
Yep. I don't know what a fluke is, but yeah.
Flatfish.
Oh, yes. Flat as flukes. Sure, the Aussie viewers will be happy with that. I don't think it's anything like a barramundi, so don't panic.
No. Well, Great Britain are playing like John Dory's with the lip out, I'll tell you that. This is Anderson now.
Talking of Anderson, Chris Anderson, the Aussie coach. He's got it. I was just about to say I think Chris Anderson would have got the message out. Don't let them score.
Well, they have. Courtesy of Paul Sculthorpe, inevitably. And remarkably, that is his 34th try this year in all competitions. No celebrations, though.
And it was a good build-up by the Great Britain skipper, Andy Farrell. He certainly had to throw the towel in. Squeezed away out of Carlo's grasp.
Take nothing away from Anderson either, Steve-O.
No, they combined well, but it was Farrell that got them into this wonderful position. He can poach a try, that you can be sure. Paul Sculthorpe, as Eddie has mentioned, man of steel, had a great season. But he will be bitterly disappointed. They'll want to get this out of the way. Forget about it as quickly as possible. It has not been a happy hunting ground for a lot of these players here.
This ground isn't a happy hunting ground for the British game.
That's what I've just said.
No, you said these players here, the British game.
Oh, you're arguing now.
Well, I may as well, there's nothing else.
You're upset now.
Apart from St Helens against Brisbane in January, at a national scale,
Well,
It's been a
didn't play
shocker
well.
here.
Yeah, they didn't play well against New Zealand, did they, in the World Cup
dreadful.
semi-final?
And New Zealand against Great Britain in '98, second test.
Well, on a personal note, he will be quite pleased with that. But they'll all turn around, look at the scoreboard and realise that we have a lot of work to do.
Well, you talk about kicking the backsides. This has been the biggest kick up the backside that Great Britain could possibly have taken tonight. The question now is whether they can come back bigger and stronger next week. And there surely this time will be changes.
Well, there has to be.
He's got to try something different now.
Yeah. As I say, and we've got to recognise Hooker and King. I'd take the gamble. The Aussies don't know much about him. He's a rough, tough player. He knows.
Well, he'll take it to them, won't he?
Of course he will. Get involved, and we just need it. But it's the finesse that we've lacked.
And Lee Briers, I think, will be itching to be given the nod, just for something slightly different, just for the unexpected. That wasn't happening last week. They were getting to those high kicks over the top by Farrell and spilling them.
But there was just a glimmer of hope there. It was good work by Andy Farrell. Remember the chip over the top about 5-6 minutes earlier. He certainly hasn't given up the ghost. They've got to try to just leave some mental scar in the Australians' minds before the final outer here. It's difficult with a scoreline like that, but
Good kick from Lockyer. Wellens back to collect it.
the thing is, Eddie, that we've been completely outplayed in every single department. Kicking, defence, breaks, you name it. Australia have been superior. They fully deserve to win this test.
Oh, without a doubt. They really are winners by the scoreline that we see in the top left-hand corner of our screens. 40 points to 6, and maybe, you know, maybe even more. But Britain at least are keeping it going. Go on, Andy Farrell.
Again, leading by example. And it's amazing, isn't it? Just a try, a couple of breaks, crowd gets behind them.
Richard Horne. Quick hands, that was touched by Fittler. It'll be brought back for the knock-on.
He knows it. But at least some positive play by the British boys. Forshaw just couldn't offload at the final moment. And a lot of pressure by the Australian skipper. He's had a good match as well, Brad Fittler, especially in the opening exchanges. But Andy Farrell will give them some sort of hope. He's come alive in the last 10 minutes.
Well,
all too late, of course.
40-0 when he came alive, unfortunately. Here he is again. Wellens fancies it. To within 3 metres. He's grasping an opportunity too. This is Fielden. Good ball to Sculthorpe.
Will Connolly get his first for Great Britain? No.
This is Anderson. He goes down. 4 tackles gone. Well, respectability is what's on offer here for Britain now, as Forshaw saw a little gap.
Trying to get rid of it too.
He did. Held on, fortunately. They're 5 metres short of the line. Fielden. Sculthorpe again. Releases the ball off the foot, play on. Fielden dabs it towards the post. Lockyer immaculate.
Easy made, good position. Read it well, good defence. Well, the aggression coming far too late, I'm afraid, fellas. This is what we fully expected in the opening minutes. And frustration just getting to the British boys. The Aussies know it too. Smiles on their faces. A few of the green and gold saying, have a look at the scoreboard, mate.
Well, Brad Myers.
Well, I think it's the first time for a few, for a period anyway, that this crowd have had something to cheer about.
Well, this aggression, I'm with you, it has come a little late, but at least it's there, and there is something for the Australians to think about next week. Ball is free, but a penalty.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 3 men in attendance. Why on earth this beefy stuff has come so late? It's totally beyond me.
Well, just a little reminder, a gentle reminder that the Lion might roar in 7 days' time.
He's lost that. Let me play on. Not about it, it wasn't reefed out. Oh, great tackle there, Vidiris.
They're swarming around. They have from the very start.
They've
Swarmed
controlled
after
it,
the
just
man.
control the game completely. It worked as a wonderful unit.
This is Richard Horne. Connolly to McDermott. He'll keep them going. Wide it goes to Farrell. He goes inside. Last one. Great Britain will run it, obviously. Sinfield, that's too deep.
It's just been the little things that have been going astray. You have to control the matter, make sure that you keep possession for long periods of play. If you're going to beat Australia, and they displayed it, especially in the first half last week, is that if you control the ball, make sure that you keep having the dropouts from underneath the sticks, then you're in with a great chance. But they've got to get into their faces, and I'm afraid Great Britain have failed to do that, and they've allowed the Aussies the space.
Yeah, there'll be no party in this part of the world tonight, but there'll be a party in Australia, because the series is all square again going into the decider.
He's certainly made a difference as well. Brad Myers, he's worked overtime.
2-1 Australia 1988, 2-1 Australia 1990, 2-1 Australia 1992, 2-1 Australia 1994. Going into the last test, it's 1-1. 2-1 Australia again, 2001, or will Great Britain come back off the canvas?
It's not going to be easy, Eddie. I've lived in Australia for 30 years now, and we haven't won a thing. I can assure you, it's hit my wallet over the years.
So
I've used my heart
this is why
to back the Poms.
This is why you've been a little mean in this part of the world, then,
Of
is it?
course.
For the last 11. Connolly now.
Oh, great defence. That
Lost
was
the ball.
wonderful defence.
Fittler and Barrett.
They have crunched them. And it hasn't just been the big fellas either. It's a team game. And boy, oh boy, the green and golds have certainly shown us how to play that team game tonight. Super skills on offer, but
You've got to take your hat off to them.
oh, this defence has been just superb.
No one else due at the disciplinary this week, is there? Couldn't get rid of a couple more, could they? Actually, it's been fair and it's been clean as well, hasn't it?
And to be fair, I think Bill Harrigan has done a fine job out there.
Oh, an intercept for sure.
In the
A little gift from Darren Lockyer.
A good referee in there. The game's nearly over. They did drop the ball. It could have been a penalty, but let's get on with it. Apart from that pedantic penalty from that kick-off when the man was 40 metres away, other than that, Mr. Harrigan has done very well.
Yes, he has been fair and even-handed,
Yeah.
just like Robert Connolly was last week, to be fair.
Of course.
So now we'll wait and see who gets the nod for the third test. Wellens gets it away to Price! Leon Price!
Good try.
This scoreline won't tell the full story. But it was a good try.
And good play by Wellens. He's certainly taken the opportunity. They didn't use him in the first test, but he's come off the bench. Good solid work from O'Connor. That's what we've needed for quite some time, and they've kept the ball alive. Watch how Wellens just shapes in and out, throws a dummy. That's sheer skill. See how he sucked him there. Nothing that Fittler could do about it, and Price took it well. Mere consolation, but a glimmer of hope.
Something to build on for 7 days hence at Wigan. So they're in double figures. This for 40 points to 12. But it will be little consolation to Andrew Farrell and his British team, and little consolation either to David Waite and his coaching team. It has been a systematic dismantling of the British team tonight by the Australian green and golds. And Farrell adds 2 more. 40 points to 12, last kick of the match belonged to Andrew Farrell, last try of the match to Great Britain, but the spoils to Australia, and David Waite with an almighty week's work ahead of him now.